Hello and welcome to Dance Teachers Academy. I am your host, Jose on the mic, and with me as always is the lovely and talented, amazing dancer, Ame. How are you doing?
I am great today. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, we are in the midst of all of that. Everybody got their tryptophan fixed last night, so we're doing good. We have a treat, actually. We have some students that we will be discussing today. We have with us Paul and Patsy Bazell. How are you guys, kids doing?
Good.
Great.
Good.
Well, outstanding.
Good to hear.
You look great. The other thing is, and we'll get into that later on, these guys are actually in from Ecuador. So we'll be getting into that here in a little bit later on. We also have with us Kyle De Sousa. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
You look good, man. I see you've been gunning them out, eh?
Trying to.
There you go. That's perfect, baby. That's good. Okay.
Yeah, so today's episode is what do students look for in a great dance teacher? Yeah, so that's why we have the students take on it today. So we've talked with other instructors about what they feel like it takes to be a great instructor. I thought it would be great to hear from the students' point of view.
Yeah, get the students' perspective.
Yes.
Certainly. Yeah, that'll work. So we'll start with you, Kyle, first, because you're relatively new at this. Not that I'm calling the old man out.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, yes. So you were relatively new at this. Why don't we start off with you first?
Okay. Yeah. So started with Ame. She was my first and still my favorite dance teacher.
Shameless plug there. Absolutely.
Yay! Yeah, your first lesson was July 15th.
Correct.
With me, and
And
we're in November.
Yeah, and we did a style that I had no interest in doing, the rumba. And it was when I came to May, I wanted to learn the salsa, samba, jive, and cha-cha. So the four fast styles and energetic ones. And,
Okay, right on.
And May, I guess when we first started, was like, I've learned with different teachers, and I want you to take these group classes that Studio 22 offers, and that was something that I started doing once around August, and I've had different teachers, and I think a lot of it comes down to the way you explain, the way you have that understanding with your student. With Ame, it's like, sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, you understand my madness," and I'm like, "Yeah." And it's
there's a certain bit of that goes
exactly.
on. I mean, sure, you have to be able to, I don't know, for lack of a better word, match up with your teacher.
exactly.
It's like you said, somebody can sit and tell you something, and you're like, okay, I don't quite get what they mean, and all of a sudden this guy says. Pretty much same thing, and all of a sudden, bing, the light comes on. You're like, oh, do you mean this? Oh, perfect. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Exactly. I think it's just more, from a beginner's perspective, just showing the path in terms of helping them understand kind of the, a little bit of the background behind some of the dance steps and moves, and also kind of why you do certain things, like, the pressure, for example, and when we did the samba, and Ame really wanted me to hone in that and getting that pressure when you hold hands together for doing one of the basic steps, and it makes a world of difference as you progress and you sort of adapt towards learning that and incorporating it into your dance.
That's awesome. I like the way you described all of that. But it's exactly true.
Yeah.
I mean, because I get the same thing here. I mean.
So we spoke about your first lesson. Let's go back a little bit, because I do want to give a shout out to a great friend of mine, Donna Hamza. Her name has been mentioned more than probably like 3 or 4 times on the show. You found out about hooking up with a dance teacher. Not hooking up, that sounds terrible. Finding a great dance teacher.
Finding a great, okay. So it's about the verbiage.
Rewind.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute,
Not hooking up. That means a lot of different things. Anyway, finding a great dance teacher, and you asked one of your friends.
Yes, exactly. So I had never danced before in my life, and I have a friend.
Not even in the shower or nothing like that?
I mean, yeah, of course.
Okay.
But I've never done, like, partner dances, you could say. And I have a friend who competes pro-am in Washington, D.C., and so she come down to visit.
Wow, nice.
Forced me to go salsa dancing at Gloria's, and like I really enjoyed it. She thought I had somewhat a little bit of ability, and she
saw some promise in you, basically.
yeah, maybe, yeah. The next thing you know, a few months later, she sends me a May's phone number, and she goes, talk to my friend Donna. Donna knows everyone.
She really does.
And she thought, call a May and get your journey started there. And it took me 2 months to give a May the phone call, and it was just...
you were about letting it stew a bit, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was also studying for an exam and working, so it was kind of like...
Oh, okay.
I gotta balance things, and then once I got done with that, I gave him the phone call, and then the rest is history.
Oh, there you go.
Talk about your first time in the car.
Yeah.
Before you get, because you just mentioned that before the podcast.
So like the 2 month period also was a little bit of fear, taking the plunge of something maybe I wanted to do for 7 or 8 years, and now
it's there, and all you have to do is open the door and go.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, maybe I should get back in the car.
I'm so glad you did.
But then I went in, and then I loved it, and then I was like, oh, when's my next lesson?
All right, that's cool. Well, you know what? Now you get your friends out. Say, hey, listen, I got a great teacher. Let's get to this.
Yeah.
Once you get outside or rather from the parking lot, that long climb up the stairs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You get past that, you're good.
Paul, do you remember your first lesson?
I'm thinking. Since it's been more than 20 years.
That's stinker.
That's all I'm allowed to say.
Yeah.
More than 20 years.
Been a few.
So, yeah,
First
Paul.
lesson, yes. Okay. Yes. Now, a little bit different from Kyle.
Yeah.
You probably remember that you were sort of chosen by my original male dance teacher to take over when my female partner
Was it Buddy?
left. Yes.
Buddy Jones.
And I found myself still with dance lessons paid for and no partner to dance with. So Buddy said, well, you're not dancing with me, so I'm going to find you a female dance instructor. And that's how I got started, different from you. But I thought by the way, that story about the getting out of the car and not doing it, that's so real.
So you can
is there
follow along with
anything-
it?
Absolutely. I mean, is there anything more, can you think of anything more discretionary to spend your money on than dance lessons?
Well, I think it makes sense.
Of course.
Of course she would, yeah.
But dance lessons, I take dance lessons too, and they're expensive.
They're expensive.
Yeah, but they are so worth it. So I know when
Totally.
I so get excited when I have a lesson, and it makes me remember, like, oh, maybe this is what my students feel like.
Oh,
I
that's
get
so great.
so excited, and I get ready, and I put on a special outfit, and I just think
an
about
event.
it. And,
Oh, you got a
yeah.
special outfit?
I don't.
Patsy gets me. Patsy understands.
I do.
And anyway, so I like to do that. I like to take lessons. First of all, I do like to improve in my own dancing. I do like that feeling of being a student, though, and remembering how important it is to show up for our students, because they're looking forward to it so much. So Paul, we did a lot of training for social things, some showcases, some special events, like preparing you for an event in Vienna, so some Viennese waltz. But I got to prepare you and Patsy. You just got married. Congratulations in May.
Thank
and we
you.
were blessed enough to be there in Ecuador
Yes, we
for
were.
the wedding.
It was a fabulous time, man.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it was so much fun to see the two of you dance at the wedding. And Patsy talk about from your point of view, because Paul had experience in dancing, and then you were coming to dancing from a very new place. So talk about from your point of view.
Well, I've had some nerves going in because Paul had been dancing for so long,
Poor Patsy.
taking professional lessons. But I have to kind of mirror what you said, that after that first lesson I just couldn't get enough. May is such a wonderful teacher, and is so intuitive, and you just have a way of just learning where someone is and what you need to do with them. So it has been and still is just a pleasure and a joy.
Yeah, it is interesting. So when you're teaching a couple, you have the dynamics from the men and the dynamics from the man and then from the woman, and then how we bring that together. And that's part of the fun to me, is to bring that together. Because did you know that men and women communicate differently?
Really?
I read that in a fortune cookie or something a few years back. It must be true.
So this part of the fun and part of the
challenge.
Yes.
And you do that so well.
I enjoy it.
We definitely had some parts where I was twirling one way and he was wanting me to go another way.
True. So what do you think?
I don't do any of the dancing. Well, I do a little bit of dancing here, so it's...
Not even in the shower?
No, not even in the shower. No, I sing in the shower. I'm one of those guys.
Staying safe.
Yeah.
He hasn't walked up the stairs yet.
Yeah, well, there's...
Kyle says.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So you are advising some teachers out there. Let's list some qualities that you say are great qualities in a dance instructor. I'll start with you, Paul.
I'll throw you a patience one right now.
That's a given.
Gotta have patience.
When you're dealing
For
with
sure.
people in any capacity, patience is more than a virtue, it's a requirement.
It is a requirement, yes.
I've always been, in my profession and in many professions, whatever it is that you're supposedly a professional at, salesmanship also goes along with that part, with that business, because you can be the greatest consultant at some discipline. You may be brilliant at it, but if you can't sell it to somebody, you're going to be a very smart poor person.
Yes.
It's always
A gifted
amazed
poor
me
person.
as dance instructors go, how the combination of being an expert dancer and also being able to sell an expensive and highly discretionary product, how you put that all together. That to me is an incredibly talented individual. I cannot tell you over the years how many times I've used dance instructors, and it is an example if I've ever gotten into a conversation about salesmanship. If you want to see real salesmanship at work, find somebody who is a ballroom dance instructor that makes their living selling dance lessons. There is a true salesperson extraordinaire.
So let's talk about a good salesperson. So, because people can have a bad connotation.
Oh, and I don't mean it that way in any
Oh,
way,
no.
shape, or form.
And
nothing
I
happens until something gets sold.
That's
right.
right. I mean, this is life. I mean, and this is America, right? So it's anyway. So I want to say, what is so impressive to me about someone who's selling something, or what makes a good salesperson, is that they know their product and they are so excited about it.
Totally.
If it's a drink, they drink it. If it's dancing, they're doing it. They're loving it. So it's really easy if you, I think, dance instructor, enjoy, of course, dancing and people. You have to love people.
Absolutely.
And your students have to feel that from you. So Kyle, what do you think is a good trait in a great dance instructor?
I think, well, there's the communication aspect, of course. in terms of, well, verbally telling you kind of, okay, here's what you're going to do, and then also doing it at the same time through demonstration, and also I guess you can do it in a partner hold. Another thing is, I guess, pushing the student to kind of break that element of complacency or those barriers that maybe mentally hold them back as opposed to physically. I think
Get them out of their comfort zone, so to speak.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Because, you know, a lot of times it's like, I mean, I've experienced this with May where I've thought, like, there's no way I can do this. And I'm just struggling. I can't seem to get it right. And then, you know, and then other times I just realize I just have to bring this old soccer playing mentality of that focus of, like, okay, I'm going to do this regardless. And it changes and also, like, requires the instructor to kind of push you in that direction.
Sure.
I think that's key because you constantly need that motivation with anything you do. A lot of the times, as an individual, it needs to be self-motivation, but it never hurts to have an external force giving you that in, I guess,
kick in the pants sort of thing?
Exactly. Anything you do in life, yeah?
Sure. So,
Hanson
get yourself
used the word earlier, intuition,
Yeah.
and I think there's a great deal of intuition involved in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because on any given day, a student comes in maybe from a long day of work that maybe went really well or maybe not so well.
Yeah.
And your dance teacher needs to know, is this going to be a good day to push Kyle a little bit harder?
Yeah.
Or maybe, Kyle looks like he's a little bit worn out today. Maybe I better be a little bit nicer to Kyle and kind of pull back a little bit and just do some other things. Just kind of get past the rough spots, and then, you know, once he gets his mind back wrapped around dancing, then we can push a little bit.
Sure, that makes sense.
I agree completely.
To
with
know
what you
how to
said.
do that is one of those
Oh, yeah.
great qualities in a dance teacher. I think that I'm not sure that can be taught. I mean,
Well, it's really interesting that you said that because part of our training was to, before this lesson starts, ask your student how their day went.
so that wasn't an accident.
Ding, ding, ding.
That wasn't
No,
just
that's
you
part of
being
the
nice.
training. Well, and then of course, like
Imagine
Paul, we started our dance lessons and we became good friends. There's a connection, there's a friendship that develops. You really do care about what tests you're doing to improve in your career and what you're, you know, how's things going with your lady, and then you get a real good connection. So you are trained, and I was trained in a really wonderful, had wonderful mentors, wonderful trainers. But that was the thing. They said, ask your student how their day went. Pay attention.
Very
Yeah.
interesting.
So then it gets to a point where you become friends. You really care about the person, and you ask them because you really care. And then there's the you know, give and take. And Paul, you've come in for lessons before. You said, you better be nice to me today. I've had a really bad day.
You know, that's a good point. There comes a point with the student that once we're past the going up the stairs part, now we come in and we're comfortable enough with our dance instructor that we know that we better tell our dance instructor that we've had a particularly bad day, if we've had a bad day, so that he or she isn't
Pushing
having
on
us
that
do
day,
that we know isn't going to work. And it's just going to make an otherwise very enjoyable lesson more like work.
Right, yeah. So it was so great to see the two of you dancing at your wedding. And so, what is your favorite dance that you do together?
Roomba probably is my favorite.
Picking on Kyle Day.
Salsa is my favorite, but Roomba is one that we worked on, and I really like it.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting dance that you can do a lot with. So for me, that was fun.
She's good at it too.
Oh,
look at that.
It is the dance of love and romance. So
Yeah, I agree, though.
Is that what it is?
Kyle
Yeah.
said that what you do so well is you just know when to push and how much to push, and you know, where to go. You do, intuition is something definitely that you have. It's innate. And that's what I love about working with you so much.
I love this
It's
podcast.
wonderful.
Okay. So
Feed my ego. I think that's what we're going to call it. How to feed a May's ego.
that's what
what-
that's what the title is going to be.
That's the title for this
Kyle,
week.
you've had other instructors. You've gone to different group classes. I think all the instructors at Studio 22 are great.
Yes.
There's some that you like more than others.
Correct.
So when something didn't go so well in a group class, describe where that instructor may have lacked in that particular class.
I think it was more like, I think in every group class we start off with the warm-up, and it was, I think a certain step is introduced, like the intermediate basic, for example, with salsa. And I think one of the classes I took, it was not quite done that way, where you were just, it was just you were doing it, not really told what it was, or there was no sense of understanding given to the student in terms of knowing what the steps were. For example,
okay.
oh, let's sachet, but like, what is a sachet? And for someone not, someone doing it for the first time, like they have no idea, and you get lost very quickly. And I think that's something in terms of just explaining. It's as simple as explaining, because if you tell someone something for just like a minute, and it just takes away maybe an hour or hours of misunderstanding or being lost. And I think that's just one thing I've experienced maybe from the negative side, I guess you could say.
Yeah, because, you know, even for me, as I train and continue to train, I have my favorite teachers, you know?
Yeah.
And now I really try to, years ago I had a lesson with, very interesting, because this was a person that started dancing after I had been an instructor for many, many years. And then the tables were turned, and he had gotten a lot of dance information, was competing professionally, younger than me. Like I said, I had been teaching already for many years when he was just starting dancing. Not starting teaching, starting dancing. And so I had seen him when he was, you know, first started. But he put the time in, and he was competing, and he was having coaching lessons. And so then, like I said, now comes time he's coming in and he's coaching me and my students very successfully too. So I think that's really important for people to remember, that sometimes someone younger than you that's been doing your craft or profession maybe less time than you, but they know something you don't, or they have acquired a great deal of information. So that was exciting to me. And what was very exciting is the way he explained things to my gentleman students. And I thought, they're not going to understand that. And the guys were like, oh, well, so what is this? First of all, just to get a man to explain it to a man, right? Men communicate similarly. And they understood it. And he was very clear. And so, to the point where I was, oh. And then I decided, oh, I want to be more like that as an instructor, where someone says something and it's like, oh, it's almost like so simple. Why didn't I think of that? We all, I think, have had instructors in whatever case where they make themselves look so good because what they're saying is so complicated. And you feel like in your mind like you've almost got it, like, I think I almost got it. Wow, that sounds so amazing what they're saying, and I'm so impressed with the words that are coming out of their mouth. But at the end of the day, when you look back, you're like, okay, I didn't get it. Like, what?
Right.
Like, they know what they're talking about, but I don't know what they're talking about. So I just decided,
If I can't make you understand, it's pointless.
yeah, and it was such a great lesson for me to have that situation again, a younger, with less years clocked in than me, but really getting a lot of good information from this particular gentleman. And we also wanted to get his take on things, because this is the student I had told you about that got the top newcomer in Ohio.
Okay.
He is 6'4", and I'm 5'2.5". But I wear heels. But anyway, but it still doesn't. So Mazen, that was the gentleman I was talking about, is very tall, 6'3" probably, and he was dancing with very short ladies and looking amazing. So I need to find out how that's, connecting. So it's really nice if you're about the same height. People talk about that. But it's not impossible, tall guys, to dance with a petite lady. Just remember that.
Mark that down.
Yeah.
Right. So this is just, exciting to always improve on teaching. So what else do you want to say about good instruction for dancing?
I think you hit on a really good point about for an instructor to always be open even to maybe a contemporary that's now out leading the pack, so to speak, and gaining whatever knowledge they've been able to put together, kind of putting the instructor's ego aside and saying, okay, yeah, this person's half my age, but
Bringing something new
Yeah.
to the table.
Certainly,
and
yes.
the other way around too, right?
Oh, yeah. You can learn from so many different ages, people. Is that what you mean, Paul?
Absolutely.
Paul, is that what you mean?
Yes. Sorry for not being clear. For example, LeMay, one of my other instructors, who you know very well, is many years older than you.
That's right.
And you refer to things that he's taught you
Yes.
constantly.
A favorite for our podcast audience, Jesse, right?
Jesse,
Yeah,
yes.
Jesse Verdon.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That guy
Yeah.
invented dance. He's been around so long. I mean, literally.
He didn't invent it, but he was there when some were invented.
When
Literally.
literally,
It's
yeah.
like, I remember when Cha-Cha first came out. We're like, wow.
Wow, man.
And he
That
knows
was
the
a
date
great
exactly.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it really
that's a lot of
was.
history, man. That was a good one. You need to go back and check that one out. This guy's amazing.
We have to do something special for him. He's coming up on teaching 60 years in March.
Wow.
Teaching full-time 60 years. Oh, by the way, he still teaches. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
a Korean War veteran, great guy, wonderful. His instruction is. What did you like about Jesse's instruction? This is really interesting. I want to hear that.
Remember when you said a guy teaching a guy or a guy telling a guy in a way that he can learn?
Yeah.
There was a point in history, maybe 20 years ago, that
That number
you were
sticks
trying
around.
to teach me how to tango, the American style tango, which is trying to explain the body flight and body movement to really do that dance properly is almost impossible. I mean, you absolutely have to feel it. And at some point, you said, okay, Paul, I've worn it out. I've told you and demonstrated in as many ways I can think of. Let me bring in the serious guy, Jesse, and I'll be darned if he didn't show me. And he made it all make sense, and he taught me how to use my body to make the movement happen, and explain somehow or another. He got it through my thick skull that
This
it's all
is
about
what you're
body
supposed to do,
movement
yes.
here, that this is unlike other dances. This is how this dance is done. It was just wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful, and he was able to communicate that. I got the idea, and then you could continue my lessons. It was great.
Yes.
Crisis averted.
Right.
That was one of those moments, kind of like we were talking about, where it was a kind of a rough day, and she was trying to explain something to me, and I was trying really hard to get it. I wasn't getting it. It was getting really frustrating. It took somebody else to come in with a different
Perspective,
on things, a
point of
different
view.
instructor,
Sure.
just for that time to explain the same thing in a different way.
And that's a really important point that you bring up, and I encourage other instructors to do that, to get a third person or a coach. We call that a coaching lesson, when a third person is watching the two of you dance, because we do use the mirrors, instructors, when we're teaching a lesson, but it's impossible for us to see everything. And then, of course, for someone to say something just a little differently, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like 6, magic. It's a half dozen.
It used to hurt. It used to hurt my feelings. When I was, yeah, right. But it used to hurt my feelings when I was a new instructor, because I was with my whole heart trying to explain to my students. And then a coach came in and said really the same thing, but maybe a little, and they were like, "Oh, well, why didn't you tell me that?" And I'm like, anyway.
It's not 6, it's a half dozen.
Yeah, right. But then I realized, like, oh no, this is great. So now I bring in coaches, or just colleagues, right? Just, okay, what do you think? Your point of view.
Another pair of eyes.
Absolutely brilliant. Helps out so much. And so you don't want to have to do it yourself. Have people help you, and that's why I encourage my students to go to these other group classes. There's so much talent out there, or I should say good instruction.
Good instruction, we were told.
Yes, instructors that have had great training. Their passion is for dancing, so you have the benefit of that. And I encourage it. So lots of hard work done in the group class, and then he comes to me and he's already doing this, and then I'm like, great, okay, I just have to fix it.
Okay, now we know.
So yeah, it really does help, doesn't it?
Just have to fix it. I guess I get nothing right.
No, that's not true at all. That's not true at all. So talk about the advantage of doing group instruction along with your private lesson.
Yeah, it's I think like you cover a lot in the group lesson that you can get refined in the private. And
that's a better way to say
it.
Write that down, yes.
The one good thing also about the group class is like it kind of gives you that experience of maybe if you what's the point of learning all of this if you don't put it into practice somewhere? And with the group classes, you can kind of do that, and you're dancing with people of different skill levels. And
I was just going to ask you that, because they force you to move around.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
They force you to rotate, so you may be helping someone else, and someone else may be helping you, and it's
right on.
Yeah,
very good point. Very good point, Kyle.
Yeah,
and you get variety there. As opposed to, well, if you get just your private lesson, that's the same person you dance with all the time, and so, which is okay, but I like that.
Which is great.
It's great, of course. Yeah, like chocolate cake. We all know this.
But I'm teasing. But it's great to dance with an instructor. Oh, I know. It's great to dance. I like dancing with an instructor. It's great. So, but if you're dancing with an instructor all the time, you don't maybe focus on your following ability. Doesn't get fine-tuned. Your leading ability doesn't strengthen. So that's what is really important, dancing with different partners. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
It's a lot of fun in group class to, as Kyle said, to dance with partners of different skill levels, and some of them will see that some of them are so experienced they'll lead you.
You're like, thank you.
And then others are going, oh yeah, this person's really new, and if I don't lead, nobody's going to be moving anywhere. I gotta lead. So there you go. Your skills are being put to work immediately, there, ready or not.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wind this down. Paul, Patsy, thank you for being here, joining us on the podcast.
For being here. Appreciate it.
It was awesome.
For inviting us. Pleasure.
Kyle, thank you for being here as well. Enjoyed your perspective.
It was absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey, absolutely. The lovely Amay, thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Another wonderful podcast. Thank you.
Yes, we like to keep them, short and sweet. Get the juices going, as they say. All right, well, folks, this has been another episode of Dance Teachers Academy. Thank you for watching.